my experience with Salvia, and a couple of my buddies. One of them, whoosh, tweaked out. Let's go. K-Rugs, the Soberdog, coming at you. Soberdogs, yeah. I got shirts on Teespring if you want to get something. So, my experience with Salvia, and of course, before I get into it, remember Soberdogs does not promote or condone any drug use. Please seek professional medical help if you have an addiction. These videos are for educational, informative, and entertainment purposes. Give a special shout out each new video to a producer, patron, or just a patron in general. This week, Ava Marie. Thank you. Been one of our biggest supporters since day one, watching every video, commenting all the time, Patreon, helping support Soberdogs. Ava, you are the best. Thank you. My experience with Salvia. So I've tried Salvia probably 8-10 times, and it was interesting, very interesting. I'm going to tell you in a minute about one time going way overboard and pushing the mark of way past what I expected or wanted. I'll get to that in a minute. Why I tried it, I was in college. I was living with a buddy of mine who was a pretty straight edge dude. He drank some beers and, liked to drink a little bit on weekends and stuff like normal, but that's it. Never touched anything else. He played football, so did all my buddies. This was right after I had to stop playing football because of my concussions. So I'm bored, I got a lot of time, and mentally I am in a bad place. Edinburgh, where I went to college, is tiny. Rochester, where I live, not that it's huge or anything, but it's an actual city, so way different. I couldn't find substances, drugs, what I wanted to do. Every couple days I would have to go to Erie to get crickets for my lizard. You guys know me and animals, I wanted a dog or a cat, but I just couldn't at that time at college, so I got a lizard. Go buy crickets, I stop at a head shop, and I'm just looking around, and dude's like, yeah, I got Salvia, man, you ever tried it? And I'm like, no, let's go. So, sells me some, tells me I should use a powerful lighter because it makes it better than a regular lighter. And if you watch the last video, I'll put a card up. Apparently that is true, that using a hotter flame burns it better. So I get it, go back to my apartment, and I'm with a couple of guys now. I was the first one to try it. Take a big hit. The first thing I noticed was intense tunnel vision. If you took a pen, look directly at it like that, cross-eyed tunnel vision, take everything else around and get rid of it. That's the first thing I noticed, this intense tunnel vision on the pen. Obviously I didn't have a pen, but this pinprick of light that all I could see and everything else disappeared. Then I got a body experience, like tingling, not bad, like heart attack tingling, just tingling body. I'm still tunnel, can't see much. And then for the next maybe 60 seconds, I was somewhere else. Where? I don't know. It wasn't incredibly vivid, like colors and shapes and the clouds or space or anything. It was just not in that room. I don't really know. It wasn't bad or painful. It wasn't necessarily that good. It was weird. It was just this other place. It was almost like a mental high at that point, like a mini blackout. So then probably 60 seconds, after that 60 seconds, it slowly starts to come back. And how it came back for me was tunnel vision in reverse. All I could see is that little bit of the tunnel, and then it slowly starts coming out, and like more of the world is getting exposed in imagine a 10-second reverse tunnel. Like, oh, okay, there is everybody, there is everything. Then the next 5 to 6 minutes were intense giggles. That was my first experience with it. On about minute 5, another guy I was with took his first hit. How he described it was the tunnel vision too. He said he had a couple minutes where he was out somewhere else. He said for him it was like being where he was, but his mind wasn't in his body. He knew where he was, but his mind went somewhere else, like left. That's how he described it. So a couple minutes later, I take another hit. Now, the guys I was with are, and this isn't a bad thing, they're not experienced druggies or partiers. Their level of partying is, you know, drinking and occasionally smoking a joint, which, again, great. Because of this, they're not that experienced when it comes to hallucinogenics. For those that have taken it before, you know that, like, one of the worst things to do when somebody takes something is to start, like, fucking with them and questioning them and being all paranoid. So I take the second hit, I take a big one, and the tunnel vision comes again. And the guys are, you know, they see me kind of leave. Like, I did tunnel vision and I was just like gone for 60 seconds. Like breathing, heart rate still, but like in another place. And this time I remember there was vividly clouds. But the guys were nervous, so they're like, yo, you all right, man? You all right? And they're like, you know, poking me and asking me. That was kind of the worst thing they could have done, but they didn't know. And again, this is all a new substance, so they're trying to be careful, and no fault on them. But some of my other friends back home that did a lot of substances with me kind of knew, like, when you take something that's going to make you trip, unless the person is in danger, leave them alone and let them get it. When you try to fight a trip, you're destined for failure. That's just how it works. You can't fight it. If you try to gain control, you will have a bad one. So that's the second one. I went up in the clouds. I came back in the tunnel vision, extreme, you know, giggles. Different buddy tried it for the first time right then there too. He did exactly what I just mentioned not to do. Immediately tried to gain control and fight it, and he had a terrible 10 minutes. He was fighting it. He didn't know where he was. Help, you know, and it was not good. He finally comes out of it, has a couple giggles, hates it. But he was somebody who never, ever really did a substance prior to that, minus alcohol and weed. Good for him, but he had no clue. I noticed with a lot of people, myself included, the first time taking a new substance, especially when it's a hallucinogen, or hallucinogenic substance, there is a monster level of anxiety because of society and movies. Like the first time I did mushrooms, I'm imagining the walls are gonna close in, fire's gonna come here, Mario and Luigi are gonna walk across me. First time taking LSD, I thought, you know, everything was gonna be cartoon, and that, you know, it was gonna be like 8 hours of living in a Mario Kart video game. No idea, or demons, and, you know. But then after taking both those the first time, learning about it and having experience, the second time, the anxiety level was 100 times lower. And I'm not saying this to promote anybody to take this stuff. I'm just saying after doing it, it's like, oh, I get it a little bit now, kind of have a baseline. This guy didn't have a baseline of anything, didn't know what to do, and had never been out of control like that, and lost it. So then I go for the third time, and what I'm trying to do this time is I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take like 2 or 3 big hits real quick, back to back, to try to get back to those clouds I was on the one prior. So I do that. Of course, my brain, like a good addict I am, there's really no such thing as moderation or hitting the mark. I've talked about this in like the speedball video. Taking 3 big hits of this, trying to hit the mark I was just on, didn't work. Went way past the cloud phase. Skipped the tunnel phase, went past the cloud phase. From here down was non-existent. It was like the little heads in Mars Attacks. You ever seen that movie? Like they don't have a body. I was just no body. All I could feel was my head, and I was gone past the fun cloud phase that I got prior into just like, I was hoping it was space because it was very black, but it really wasn't. It was just kind of a nothingness phase of thinking and extreme paranoia and where the hell am I and what's going on. And I told the guys prior, you don't like poke me in shit, you know, leave me alone for a couple minutes and experience it. So they were cool with that and got it. I wouldn't say it was necessarily pleasurable, it was just weird. It was 2 to 3 minutes of past the mark, not very fun in some black stage area, like Space Without the Stars and Planets. A lot of mind games going on, a couple of colors and shapes, and then came back real quick and had a couple minutes. This part was interesting too. I had the giggles, but I wasn't enjoying them. I was laughing very hard with those extreme giggles like the other couple times, but I didn't want to have them. And because of the past 3 minutes of being gone, not in a good place, it wasn't fun giggles. It was like, you know, if something really bad happens sometimes, you know, you just have to kind of laugh about it. Like you bash your knee on a cement block and it hurts so bad, you almost go past the hurt to the laughing phase for a minute. It was almost like that, like, yeah. And totally missed the mark on that one. That was my main experience with Salvia. I tried it again a couple years later, a couple times. Not much different, just weird to me. Not something I would do again. Weird. That's my experience with it. Check out the other video. I don't know which way the card. Check out the other video all about what it is and where it comes from and the history of it and everything you need to know on it. All right, K Ruggs, the Soberdog, and I'm out. See ya.